Hello everyone! I hope you all had an amazing Christmas. As promised, here is an update video for the end of the year, the transition from 2013 to 2014. So as you can see on your screen now, this is what I've changed the budget format to look like. It just looks nicer. I mean, this is what I'm going to show you how to make, and this is where we left off. And this is functional, but that's pretty. That's just pretty. At least it is to me. I don't know. I'm weird. I get happy from pretty Excel sheets. So maybe that's why I'm spending time making YouTube videos and you're out there making more money than me. First off, let's just get a couple of announcements out of the way. In the PSA that I put out a couple weeks ago, I asked if anybody was going to have any interest in the debt snowball tracker for the loan amortization schedules. I did not get enough interest out of that to justify making a video on it, so I apologize for those of you who did want to see it. Just keeping track of your loans, getting them paid off one at a time, starting with the smallest first, working your way up to the largest. You don't need a tracker to do that. That's common sense. That's effective debt reduction. You can do that on your own. I did have a viewer ask about tracking credit card debt and using a schedule of some kind to track credit card debt. And what I would say there is just use a loan amortization schedule and then just put your loan amount at whatever your credit card debt is. So if you have $20,000 worth of credit card debt, just put your loan amount at $20,000, the interest rate, and then as far as your loan period, just make that your goal. That's when you're trying to pay it off. If you want to have your credit card debt completely paid off in 5 years, then make your loan period in years 5 and have monthly payments of 12, or number of payments per year 12 for monthly payments. And then the start date, whenever today's date when you start working on it. To come up with an amortization schedule or any kind of tracking system for the fluctuations of current debt, or rather debt that can increase or decrease, I don't even know if that's possible. The user needs to be able to have some discipline, and you need to be able to not spend money you don't have. I mean, that's the whole reason I made these pages in the first place. That's the whole reason I'm doing these videos, is how do we make more money by saving money, and how do we get out of debt? And if you're continuing to rack up credit card debt, you're never going to get out of debt, or it's going to take you a lot longer, and that's not what I want to focus on. So if you have credit card debt and you have no problem continuing to go into credit card debt, then my videos aren't for you. I'm sorry. If you're trying to get out of credit card debt and you resolve to not spend money that you don't have, then more power to you. What I would recommend you do is you make another schedule with your current debt, when you want it paid off by, and then do not increase that debt any further. Now, I understand that there may be an instance or two when you have to. Let's say that you don't have enough in your savings and your car breaks down, you need to replace the transmission. You have to go in a couple $1,000s more in your credit card debt. Well, then what I would recommend you do is you stop functioning on whatever one you were using for that credit card debt, and you make a new schedule. You can either start over with this one, you can get rid of this one and then start over, or you can just make a new one and keep this one for your records. But just wherever you started with your new debt, punch in that amount up here. So okay, so let's say you have $20,000 worth of debt at 4.5 and whatever else, okay? And you pay off $5,000 of it, so now you're down to $15,000. But then you have to pay $2,000 for a transmission, so now you're up to $17,000. Just create a new schedule, put in the loan amount at $17,000 with a 4.5 and when you want it paid off by, and you're back on track with keeping track of where everything's going. That's my solution for keeping track of credit card debt. Again, the whole point of keeping track of your money, in my opinion, is to get out of debt. And then once you're out of debt, then you can work on investing and saving and really using your money effectively. But your number one goal should be to get out of all debts. I'm personally not even interested in creating a schedule for people who have no desire to get out of credit card debt. So for those of you who do want to get out of debt, just make another schedule. Okay, another announcement that I want to make is you'll notice here shortly that I will be uploading 5 new videos, maybe 5 to 8 new videos. I'm going to be re-uploading all of my original budget series videos and the auxiliary series. Because of the copyright issue with the music and everything, the audio on those videos is not satisfactory. And I want you, the viewers, to feel comfortable sharing my videos with those that you love or care about. And I personally don't feel good about the videos now that they've been scrubbed. It's my goal, hopefully, that you can watch this, you can benefit from it, and then share it with somebody else, and then they can benefit from it, and then they share it, and then we all help each other out. But I would be a little embarrassed if you tried to share my videos and they weren't what they're supposed to be. So I'm going to be re-uploading them all, and you can, once those come up, don't be surprised. It's the exact same videos, but I've redone the audio and I've made it look just a little bit nicer. I've improved the video quality. I invite you to share them with other people who can benefit from them, and invite them to subscribe to my channel, as I will continue to do videos like this one where I make changes and I let you know, and I update systems and functions, and I answer questions from the viewers and things like that. Speaking of the original or the new videos that I'm uploading, the original series and the auxiliary videos that I'm re-uploading, if after I re-upload these videos that I just mentioned and you go back and listen to them, you'll notice that the audio is a different music track. That's music that's come from close to home. I know the artists, and so if you like the music, please leave a comment down in the comment section. Let the artists know that you appreciate their music. I'm sure they'd be thrilled to know. So now we're going to get into it. Let's talk about the changes that have taken place. First thing you'll notice is I no longer have this right up in column A. So as you're carrying this sheet onto your next year, into your new tab, so you're going to copy it, right? So copy. Now instead of pasting it straight into A, just paste it into B. And that gives you your column. Easy peasy. Now another thing I did is I thought this string, this row here, was just funky looking. I didn't like it. And so I split it up. So first thing, you'll notice that this chart here, I've boxed it up, and that's right here, including this approximate available funds, and that's another formula that I created that I'll show you in just a second. So I boxed that up just to make it look square. I included the cash, and then this cell is now the merge of 4 different rows instead of just the 3. So now I included it down there as well for symmetry's sake. Now these 4 boxes I've tagged up here into an extra row, or excuse me, an extra column at the end. So you'll notice what we spent last month is right there, what the allotment of this month is, what the running total of this month is, and then what the balance left of this month is right here, instead of it being strewn out across these 5 columns. I thought that just looked nicer. Same thing with these, with the total income and the last month's income. I tagged them, in my opinion, where they belonged with all the other income stuff. So now they're down here at the bottom of this income tracker table, just right down here at the bottom. Again, you just manually enter that number in, and then this is the sum formula of that section. So with all of this out of the way, I was now able to take this chart, or this table, the comprehensive income tracker, and move it up so that it's right there. In one of my auxiliary videos, I also mentioned creating this income tracker using the SUMIF functions, and I put income with income and expense with expense. So if you look here, this is their income with the SUMIF functions right there. And then if you look down here, under the expense tracker, I added another row and included their SUMIFs for expenses. I felt that that was more efficient. So now expenses are with expenses, incomes are with incomes, and monthlies are with monthlies. The ATM withdrawal box I didn't even transfer over. If you want to, then you could put it right here under credit card payments. You could also put it down here under monthly payment method running totals if you don't want that. Let me show you what that is. That's just another SUMIF function, and what I've done here is I added another column into the comprehensive expense tracker. So if you look down at the original, we have spender, amount, date, category, which was a drop-down menu, and then the explanation of expenditure. I've expanded it, so now it takes up a couple more columns, and I've added a payment method, which is another drop-down menu: credit, debit, check, and cash. And then I created the SUMIF function with the range being column H, the criteria being credit, debit, check, or cash, for respectively, and then the sum range being column E. And so if you don't want that, I just put that in there because I thought it might be nice. But if you don't want that, then you could transfer over the ATM withdrawal section right there as well. Okay, another thing that I wanted to show you was this. You'll notice that the month summary at the top is still there while I scroll down. That's something I took from the amortization schedule. I'm not going to claim originality on that idea, but I'm going to show you how to do it. Set it up so that you have this extra row here in between. Just click on the bar, or the bar heading, or the row heading. So in this case, column 7, or excuse me, row 7. I'll get it right. Come up to View, click Freeze Panes, and then in this case unfreeze because I had it. But so you'll scroll down, you see that it's functioning as normal. Column or row 7, Freeze Panes, Freeze Panes. You'll see this little thin black line lets me scroll down. So that's how I'm going to use that. So as I look down through these expenses and whatever, I can still see all that information up there. Not critical, but something that I liked and I'm using in my budget now too. And you'll notice that I reformatted some of the things in here. Now these don't have fill. I just changed the font. I changed the way the coloring changes in here is conditional formatting. You can look at my 5th video in the original series to recall how I did that. Okay, now let's talk about the end of year summary. So this is what I left you off with, and as you transfer into 2014 or into a new year, this is what I'm going to have it be now. It's basically the same. You know, the colors have changed, but that's because it's a new year, and I like to change the colors for a new year. But you'll notice that down here in the bottom is 2013, just averages and totals. And so as soon as 2013 is done, I'm going to start 2014, and I can put that data down here. So now as I carry on throughout 2014, I can reference the previous year's monthly averages as well as the previous year's totals. Now to do that, to get that information here, assuming this year is done, just copy that. So click and drag. I'm just going to highlight those 4 and copy. So Control C or right click, copy. And then you'll notice up here it's starting with groceries. So I'm just going to come down here to groceries right here. Now if I just press Control V, Control Paste, well, let me show you. You see that it's pulling this data from the previous cells. But that's the only reason that's working is because this is still part of the same workbook. But you can see the formatting difference. This has the light sepia, and this is just straight white, which is what it was here. So not only does it change the formatting, but it's carried the formula with it. I'm going to be having 2014 as a different workbook. It's going to be its own file. And so it's not, these references isn't going to work. So instead, what I'm going to do, copy. Now you right click, go to Paste Special. You want Paste Values. Click Paste. Now you'll notice that the formatting is the same. The functions are gone, but the figures are still there. So date night 6/45/93, 6/45/93. So it's a way to paste without carrying formula and formatting. with you. It's just going to take the values from the cell. So when I carried the data from 2013 into 2014, I can just come here, copy the bars, paste them at the bottom with paste special, paste the values, and then you now have a reference for 2014 from your 2013 data. Another minor thing that I did is I changed this. Here it just said bank end. I just added bank at month's end. I just thought that made more sense and was more intuitive. Now going back to the paste special, something that I learned from CWIP, whom I referenced in my first auxiliary video, is this idea of shortcut keys, of creating your own shortcut keys. So let me show you how this works. So delete. I want to copy these 8 cells. So Control C, copy. Now instead of having to right click, paste special, values, I'm just going to press Alt. You see how these, I just pressed Alt and all these little symbols come up? Number 4, Alt 4. And it did the exact same thing. Now that's likely not going to work on your computer unless you have already set it up that way. What I did is I created a custom short key. That right there is waiting for me when I tell it to. To create your own custom short key, come up to this little bar, Custom Quick Access Toolbar. Down click, More Commands. And then if you come down to All Commands, here is basically everything you can do in Excel. I scrolled all the way down to paste values. You'll see it's already added, but if I click the add button, then it shows up right there. I press OK, and then it comes up, and then it's just right there. And then to access your special keys, your custom keys, all you have to do is press the Alt key once, and then you can access them through your keyboard. So in this case, if I press R, it switches to the Review tab, and now if I press any of these keys, spelling, or S, R, E, then it access those functions. Press the Escape key, and I'm back out to where I can press my keys and nothing happens up here. That's something that I was unaware of, that I was made aware of, and that's a prime example of learning things from you, the viewers. And so if you have any other insights or any other ideas, please feel free to add them. So the last thing I want to talk about is an idea that I came up with on my own, but then shortly thereafter a viewer also suggested it, is this idea of kind of having a running total, or kind of treating your budget program as a checkbook of sorts. And that's what this is, the approximate available funds. This is basically a way to tell how much money you have right now. Like actively, if it's the middle of the month, you can still kind of look and see how much money you have. It's a very simple function. If you look up here, L12, this is the money that you had at the beginning of the month, on day 1. This would not have included any money you had made throughout the month. It's just the money you had in your account, or whatever, in your possession at the beginning of the month. You add that to H20, and that is your current monthly income. So at this point, they have made this much money, so it adds that to that, because it would be reasonable to assume that at this point, since you started the month with this much money, and you've added this much money through your income, and then you subtract from that total, these two numbers added together, you subtract from those two numbers added together this number, N22, which is how much money you've spent. And you get approximately how much money you can reasonably expect to have access to. It's not, I've been using it for a couple months now, and it is not perfectly accurate, but it's accurate enough. I mean, if you're down to pennies and nickels, if you're surviving paycheck to paycheck, then you'll want to be paying a lot more attention. But if you're just wondering, well, yeah, but how much money do we have? This has served me and my wife perfectly well. So, a very simple formula that I've tacked on to the bottom of this month summary of total finances. So that's it, everybody. That's my transition from 2013 to 2014. Thank you all for your comments. This has been a great year. Thank you for subscribing. Again, I invite you to share these videos with your friends and colleagues, your family, anybody that you think can benefit from learning how to better manage their money, which should be everybody. Again, give a shout out in the comments if you enjoy the music. Really appreciate Jeff and Danny's willingness to allow me to use their music. Hope you have a great 2014. I'm sure we'll see each other again. Take care. Book, the same workbook. The only reason that's working is because it's still part of the same workbook. Oh my gosh. Workbook. The only reason that's working is because it's still part of the same workbook. If you watch those, if after I upload these next 5 or these, oh my gosh.